All right, welcome back to another episode of the YoungPro podcast. Today we are joined with my co-host, Dustin Kupka, and we are here with Laura Bales. She is 29. She's an education and outreach coordinator. She's from Hawaii and Japan. That's where she grew up, and she is extremely well-traveled. Her main goal is to help raise awareness on how humans are negatively impacting the environment. So thank you so much for flying in from Hawaii just for the podcast. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'll probably never come to Iowa again in my life. So.
You flew into like 6 inches of snow as well,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I was looking at the weather. I'm going, oh man,
I know, dude.
this is gonna be brutal for her. But yeah, glad to have you.
I'm stoked on snow.
I think we're gonna try and go like sledding later or something like that. Yeah, we got a couple things planned, and then tomorrow we got a game night with some friends. I want her to meet some of the crew, and yeah. But let's get into it. I know you and Dustin talked a little bit, and I obviously know more of your background. We met in Germany in high school, but where were you at? Hawaii and Japan. But how did you get to Germany? And kind of give us that little bit of a background.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Hawaii for most of my life on Oahu, which is the main island that has most of the population. And while I was living there, my mom started working for the government. She manages swimming pools and does lifeguard trainings. She coached water polo and swim team. And through that job, she got offered a job to work in Japan doing the same thing, but for the government. And it was a higher paying position. And she's basically just been traveling the world working at the pool for the last 20, 25, 30 years,
Okay.
which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But it's given me and my family a lot of really great opportunities to travel as well. So I spent 7 years growing up in Japan. I lived
And what
there.
age was
I
it?
was 9 to 15, so
Okay.
a pretty significant portion of my upbringing was
Yep.
there. And then when I was 15, I moved to Germany, graduated high school there,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah.
And then you bounced around quite a bit after Germany.
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah, I lived in Florida for a year, worked there in Orlando for 10 months, and then worked in the Florida Keys for 3 months. And then I moved back to Hawaii for school. Graduated with my bachelor's in marine ecology and conservation. And then I moved to California for a year to work at the Ocean Institute as a science instructor, which was a really sick job, but science doesn't pay well, so I was getting paid like $12 an hour, but it gave me a really great life
Sounds really
experience.
cool, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was awesome, but not sustainable for long term. So I lived there for a year and then ended up moving back to Hawaii because I missed it so much and just found that there were better opportunities there for me. And that was 2018 when I moved back, and I've been back ever since.
And where'd you get your master's at?
Oh, so I got my master's. I started my program in 2018 when I was living in California,
Okay.
but it's through a university in Ohio. It's called Miami University of Ohio in Oxford. Very random. And I was part of a global field program. So I was able to do my master's program based from basically anywhere. All my courses in the fall and spring were online, and I did all my research projects and my data collection based in Hawaii. So all my research was based there. And I worked with local organizations in Hawaii to gather that data, build my portfolio, and then over the summers for my grad program, that's when we would meet in person in the field. So our college partnered with like 14 countries internationally,
Wow.
and we were able to apply for the country that aligned with our focus of what we wanted to gear our education towards. And then if you got accepted, you would go to that country for the summer, work with in-field partners, gain awesome hands-on experience working in the field alongside these experts.
Yeah.
And what I think is really cool about it is you get to learn how they are applying conservation methods in their country, and then you can take what you learn from them and then bring that back home to where you are and apply it to where you live.
And what was your master's in?
It was in conservation biology, and I did a focus on threats to marine biodiversity.
So when you said that you got to like work in the field, what did that look like?
It looks like spending lots of time outside during the day, getting bit by mosquitoes, getting sunburned, sweating, hiking around everywhere. But more specifically, when I did my grad program, I was able to go to Belize and the Galapagos.
Okay.
And so in Belize, we did a lot of work on like coral reef conservation, rainforest conservation. We partnered with the Belize Zoo, and their staff taught us all about like animal behavior and We learned about baboons. They have this community baboon sanctuary where the baboons literally live among the trees of this village that's run by women. And they just have this epic relationship like with the animals
We're talking
there.
like monkeys, right?
We're talking about monkeys, baboons,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm following you. I just have this in my image, like this monkeys just sitting there
Yeah,
chilling.
they're
you know?
literally everywhere. It's insane. It's like squirrels in America. The monkeys are just absolutely everywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, we did all kinds of stuff. And then in the Galapagos, we partnered with the park rangers at the national park, and they took us to parts of the national park that like residents and tourists are not even allowed to go to. You have to get special permission. So we were super fortunate to do that. And we were able to tag and track the giant tortoises. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they are fucking massive. They're like these giant boulders that are like taller than I am.
The tortoises?
The tortoises
are taller than you are.
Yes, like their shell, they're huge.
I don't
Like,
even
if
think I
one
knew.
sat on me,
It's
I
not a
would
paint
be
turtle.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
used to
But we were
little
able to
paint
like
turtles.
put trackers in them and collect data on their size. So we would measure their shell,
Mm-hmm.
the underside of them. We would weigh them. We would like strap them on this thing and hold them up in the air and weigh them. They weighed like 600 to 800 pounds.
Oh my
Yeah.
So cool.
gosh.
So cool.
Yeah, but it was
I gotta say,
So-
you're like vastly different than any guests we've had up until this
yeah.
point.
Not an entrepreneur. I'm a scientist.
So I gotta say something. So I always wonder, you know, I mean, Ethan, you obviously went to high school in Germany.
Yeah.
You know, typically a lot of my people I know is military. You know,
Mhm.
they travel. Seem like people that grow up in a military family, and I'm not a military family, but friends I know that are military, it seems like they travel, you know, 3, 4, 5 years, and they go to a different place
Mhm.
in the country, and then they travel again, and they're just constantly jumping around.
Mm-hmm.
But then in that childhood of doing this,
Mhm.
since you were there in Germany, you know,
Yeah.
in high school, they're just these. It seems to me like the world that you view is completely different than those that don't get to do that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for
like
sure.
we're talking about like things that you've done, and you're like, I gotta like look at your schedule. Like you're in Thailand now. Like, I mean, it's like that's like me going 30 miles away. You know what I mean? Like he's going across the country, and now you're doing this.
Mhm.
So just explain to me like your childhood. I'm just curious. Like your childhood sounds like you traveled. Your mom was pools. You said.
Yeah. So my mom, she's not in the military.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than like
My
the family that
upbringing,
Ethan
yeah.
came from.
Yeah.
Um,
But she managed these pools.
yeah. So
That were on
she's
base,
a pool lady.
on
So
military
On the
bases.
military
right?
bases are like communities, just like how we have in the real world. So they have grocery stores and gas stations and like
All on this base,
Yeah. So they
surrounded by
need-
fences and guards,
Exactly.
and yeah.
So they need civilians to
To-
work these
to work
jobs
these
to
jobs.
support the active duty military families and members that live there. So my mom was a pool lady, so she made sure that the pools ran.
Did she
And-
travel to do
Yeah.
to take care of these pools?
yeah,
Yes.
because she
Yeah.
ran a couple pools
So she
in
traveled as
Germany,
well.
right?
Hmm. She's the reason that we moved.
Strictly in Germany, though. I mean, that's where. The
Well, she
pools-
started working that kind of job like for the government when we were in Hawaii, and then that's what led to her job in Japan working at the pool. And then over time, I mean, she just like we live in these places for a really long time, which is atypical for active duty military families. They usually stay for like 2 to 3 years, but because my mom is contracted as a civilian, we can stay for 7 or 9 years. So that's why we stayed in Japan for so long. And then she was like, fuck it. I've done my time here.
Yeah.
I'm ready for something new. Applied for a job in Germany, got it. And they were there for 6 years. I was only there for 3 because I graduated and then I moved out. And then my mom was like, okay, we're ready for something new. So they've been in Korea for the last like 7 years.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
if
which
she
is
didn't, but they're
really
in Korea
cool
now.
for me because whenever I want to see my parents, I get to go to
Good
Korea.
to go to Korea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Pretty
That's so
crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
Which, not to hate on
So-
Iowa, but it's way cooler than visiting Iowa.
She just came in a bad time, right? There's 6 inches of snow.
Yeah.
It's cool. Wait till you go sledding. Have you ever
Oh,
gone snows?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of snow in Germany.
Okay.
And
yeah,
Korea and
Oh, good.
Japan.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've
Good
seen
point.
snow.
Okay, good. So, that's just wild to me. I just think so. So when you're so all this stuff, why the environmental want to be a
That was my
like?
question too. I was like, when did you realize?
So honestly, I'm just sitting
That's a
there thinking
great
swimming
question.
pool, like turtles.
Yeah.
Maybe she's around water.
Yeah. So both my parents are very water-oriented people. My dad is a scuba instructor for NAUI. He also taught swim lessons for a long time. Both my parents are divers. And my dad's also a ship captain. So water has always been like a huge part of my life. And then just being born and raised in Hawaii, like every weekend we'd be at the beach. And what you do there is you go outside, like, because it's so beautiful. And
Yeah,
there's so
all
much
the
to do
time.
and it's free. So
Yeah, it's free.
It's free.
That's a
That's a
key
big
point.
piece, So I spent a big chunk of my childhood in that environment. And I think that really nurtured that appreciation and gratitude for those kinds of spaces and like what they brought into my life and how happy they made me. But it took me a long time to realize that like pursuing that passion and protecting the environment was what I really wanted to do. So when I was graduating high school and applying for college, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with my life, but I should probably go to college because that's what everybody else is doing. And I like learning. So I felt like it was the right choice. And I remember when I was applying for college, I thought I wanted to be a history teacher.
Oh gosh.
But I'm so bad at remembering like dates of things. Yeah.
Which I feel like is a requirement.
Yeah,
to be a
exactly.
history
I mean, ask me
teacher.
about
dates.
coral and plankton. I will talk about that shit all day long. But ask me about when
It's the Civil War.
the Civil War happened. Well, I know. I'm pretty sure that was 1860s.
I'm the same boat. I do numbers.
Yeah,
Okay,
ask
so
me
then
about the
was it
presidents. I have no idea.
was it in your bachelor's degree that you realized like, all right, this is
Yeah.
really what I want to do?
Yeah, so I started school. I went in undeclared, and then my first and second year, I was really just trying to figure out like what I was gonna do, and I feel like I had a limited time because I was like paying all this money to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to start volunteering for a bunch of different nonprofit organizations and different groups that were available at my campus. And a lot of them were environmental groups that did like beach cleanups and native plant restoration, native fish pond restoration. So I spent a lot of time working with these people out in the field. Literally every weekend I was out there. And I found a community of people that really resonated with me and that brought me joy. And I made really great friends through it. And I just really fell in love with the work of like giving back to this place that has given me so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is there a moment or like a memory you have where you kind of got to feel like, whether that was like community service or doing some of the programs you talked about, where you were like, this feel, even though like you're offering and donating your time, that you just like maybe saw an effect or that you had, like after a day or a week of working on a certain project, and you maybe got all the trash out? I know I've seen you post quite a bit about that. Was there a memory that like hits your head, was like that feeling I want to replicate as many times as possible?
I feel like I get that feeling anytime I teach about this stuff, because kids are really receptive to it. And I feel like their minds are so malleable and they're easily inspired. And so when you share your story and like the shit that's going on in the world and you tell them what they can do to help, they just get super stoked on it. And I remember I was teaching at the school on Kauai with a nonprofit that I was working for at the time, Sustainable Coastlines Hawaii. And we would go do these inter-island cleanups. And for the week before the cleanup, we would go to all these schools and teach all the kids and then invite all them out to the cleanup on the weekend. Yeah.
No
And
child labor laws there, you
no.
go.
Not in Hawaii.
And this one girl came up to me after we presented in her class, and she's like, Miss Laura, I just want you to know that I asked my mom to buy me a reusable utensil set. so that I don't
Oh.
have to use plastic anymore. I was like, oh my God, my heart.
What ages are you typically
I mean, I
teaching?
do K through college,
Okay.
and I've actually, with my current job, I've gone to several retirement communities, which is
Really?
so different.
Yeah, I
and
can
so
imagine.
Funny. Like
Yeah.
kids are stoked on anything. Like if you're a guest speaker coming to their classroom, they're like, "Fuck yeah, we don't have to listen to our teacher."
Yeah.
Like we got the cool lady here today. She's teaching us about science.
She's the same size as us.
I've honestly gotten mistaken for a middle schooler several times. But anyways,
So
where
then,
was
so
I
then
going with
the seniors, the older
Oh,
people,
yeah, go back into
the
the-
older people are like,
yeah. So kids are good. They like laugh at my jokes and they're really responsive. And then we went to the senior citizen home, and they are so sassy. This one lady, so for the activity that I was teaching them about watersheds, and we do this activity where they build a watershed prototype using clay. And this lady was like, "I'm not going to play with clay." She's like 90 years old.
Yeah.
I was like, "But it's fun, even for adults." And she was like, "No." She's like, "I'm not a child." I was like, "Okay." And then like 10 minutes in, she started playing with the clay. And at the end of the activity, she was like, "That was actually really fun. Thank you so much for coming." I was like, "Yes, we broke through." Yeah.
Yeah, older people move a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just gotta be a little persistent.
I think
and
when they probably
get through to
realize that
them.
you're genuine, you
Yeah.
know, you're not just trying to like, I don't know, like waste their time or be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, they're old, so you're like talking to them different or whatever. I'm sure that was the genuine side of you probably really helped with that.
Yeah.
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 I just have old people. It's just funny because I got a friend that he's I don't know, he's probably just turned 60, and he just can't wait. He says he can't wait to. He wants to go on like 235, you know, on 230 Interstate 235,
Yeah.
and they have a bridge that goes across it, and there's
Mhm.
fence, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
He wants to go out there early in the morning, like rush hour, in his whitey tighties and with a cup of coffee and just wave to people because
that's one way to live your life.
older people do crazy stuff
and they just get away with it.
He gets away with it. He's like, I'm just gonna with my cup with a Mueller, just like, hello, how we doing? As everyone's going to work.
Let him know if he records it on TikTok, he can get like $500 or whatever in the account.
Yeah, I mean, I just that'd be hilarious.
Oh my
The older
gosh.
people get to do things and get away with it.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
So what are some interests outside of, I mean, I know you surf, you're like a gnarly shredder. What are some other things?
I don't know
Is
about
this
gnarly,
true?
gnarly shred.
Yeah, dude, she's riding, what'd you say, like 6 to 8 foot waves or something?
Yeah. I've been out in like 10 to 15 foot swells, but I usually am just trying to
Swells.
survive.
That's what they call them.
You hear that
call
surfer
them-
slang, bro?
That's what they're called. That's
yeah.
the
Waves.
scientific word for it.
Me
Yeah.
and David went surfing while we were in Bali. They weren't nearly that big, but like the first time I'd ever tried was in California, and I couldn't get up. All I could ride was the whitewash, is what they call it. So when the wave crashes,
Oh, sure.
and you can
Yep.
ride it out. But I remember like getting out and like talking a bunch of shit to him, like, oh, I'm about to shred, bro. And sure enough, the first wave I caught, I hopped up on it and I like ride past him, like flip him off, and I'm like, what I look like, bro? And I'm like riding this wave in Bali. Felt like so cool. By the end of the day, I think I only caught like
Did
5
you-
or 6
yeah, I was gonna
waves.
say, how many
I
times
caught
did you
like
get
5 or
one?
6
Was that the
real
only
waves
time?
in before they crashed. They're like real waves.
Laura,
They were not that size.
only
They were
caught one.
You
probably
probably just went straight the whole time.
Yeah.
yeah. I run straight. I'm not carving waves yet. But oh my gosh, dude, by the end of the day, I got ruined by a few waves. Only caught like 5 or 6. They were probably 4 foot, 5 foot. They're nothing crazy. But my arms just felt like
yeah, you just-
Squidward, dude. It was one of the best workouts I've had.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried?
Mm-mm.
It's really fun.
Nope.
But you got to suck for a while before you're good.
Yeah. And you have a real board now.
I have a real board.
Yeah, we were on foam boards, so you can't hurt other people when you,
So you don't-
right.
you don't hurt-
Don't
You're less of
puncture
a
their
liability.
Right. So the board doesn't go out and
Yeah.
take someone's head off.
Yeah. Okay, so surfing. What
Yeah.
else you got?
I also like rock climbing.
Oh,
I
my.
do yoga.
Okay.
Yeah, anything outdoors. I like volunteering. I like hiking, diving.
Diving, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I grew up diving. And yeah, just hanging out with friends. I've been really into painting and making art
Artsy
lately.
stuff.
Yeah, trying to
it
learn how to
seems
play the
fit
ukulele.
The personality.
Yeah.
The ukulele.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Yeah, just trying to find like new forms of self-expression that bring me joy and make me feel good.
I did
Back to my
that's
life.
I did hot yoga once.
Salsa. Is that
You
what
do
said?
salsa?
Is that what you said?
I said that's awesome.
Oh, that's
Oh.
awesome.
Salsa?
Yeah, no, I also started taking salsa classes. Yeah.
But
salsa
I
classes.
did
Now I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
salsa
Dance-
classes.
Oh yeah. I've always wanted to.
Did you and your wife do like a choreographed dance for the wedding, or?
Salsa dance?
No,
We
we
Just
never
never
normal,
did.
like a waltz.
But that's one thing that my wife and I talked about. Like, I want to take classes and learn.
I think that's so
Just
cute.
So you when you
too.
go to like weddings, you know,
Yeah.
all
you
the
just
eyes
kill it. You know?
Yeah.
They're like,
You don't look like a noob.
yeah.
yeah, you always see those couples do that. You're like, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was saying was.
also film it and put it out on the channel.
Young Pro takes the dance floor.
We'll set that up. We gotta learn how to dance first.
But no, I did hot yoga once, and like I walked in there so confident. I was like, I'm a college athlete. I wrestle like I am the peak of an alpha
It really
male.
humbled you, didn't it?
Destroyed, absolutely annihilated my confidence in
Your
that.
ego.
Left just wrecked and so humbled. I was like, I'm not built for that. It was because they're doing it in like 80, 90 degrees in the room, and you're hitting these poses like scorpion and weird ass poses and stuff. Have you ever done yoga?
No. Lord,
What?
she's laughing.
That is a pose, I think.
Is it
or
scorpion?
upward
Yeah.
doggy
Is
or
that
that
a
or
real
something
thing?
like that.
Upward dog.
Does he just
Scorpion's
make-
real. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
he just
He's
made
a-
it
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
He learned something in that class.
Have you ever tried?
No.
No.
I mean, no.
You played you played basketball in high school?
Yes.
Or any college sports?
I just think of yoga. I just feel like I got to wear like tight black pants or something and tight clothes.
I feel like shorts.
You don't have to.
Non-compression
You don't have to?
would be
You could do
fine.
it naked if you wanted to.
You get your wife in naked yoga.
There you go.
Salsa and naked yoga, baby.
Salsa and
We coming. Kid number 4 on the way.
She'll be like, "What? Stay away from Ethan." I'll be coming
He's a
home.
bad influence.
I think Allison likes me, though.
Oh, yeah,
I think
she
she gives me a pass most of the time.
Yeah.
They have a really good family. They've always been super welcoming. 3 kids.
Yep.
What are the ages?
12, 9, and 8.
And
Yeah.
their middle son is deaf. So that was like something that we connected on
Oh.
because my parents are both deaf interpreters. So
Oh,
yeah. Did
I
you know
didn't know
that?
that.
No,
No.
yeah. Eden was fluent
Yeah,
in
you
sign
told
language.
me
Yeah,
that.
sign language as well. That was what she wanted to do, is be a deaf interpreter at the Texas School for the Deaf as well.
Mhm.
Before she got into
Real estate.
the real estate, and she also did massage therapy. She was kind of
Yeah.
all over the place, but yeah, I know that's a cause that you're pretty
Huge.
active about
Yep.
now, right?
Yep. One of our logos, if you will, is sign and homes life.com.
Mm.
So like we sell homes, we help people with homes, houses, and we do sign language. So eventually we'll have, the whole idea was with Trevor was, we really want to, when we looked at real estate, we really wanted to, we thought we could create something that he can help us with.
Mhm.
And so we thought, wow, man, it'd be cool to have this real estate portfolio and incorporate Trevor with that and help us manage it. And so we've always been really passionate about that and trying to create that for him. So like our logo, I don't have one on me, but on there's a pic, it's like a house, but on the chimney, if you look at it, the smokestack it says ASL, American Sign Language.
Very
So
cool.
You gotta look at it. It's kind of
It's kind of hidden.
kind
a
of
little
hidden,
bit.
but yeah. So we're super passionate about American Sign Language. Is an amazing expression of the language. Right now it's now considered a what do they call that, a world language.
Mhm.
And it's ranked number 3. So English, Espanol, American Sign Language. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. So like Germany, French.
Do
like,
they all use the same signs?
it's kind of like Spanish. Like
Okay.
there's a dialect. to it,
Dialects,
You know,
yeah.
there's different. Everyone has their own rule. that's what's crazy. Like there's slang in it a little bit. There's just so many different things.
Do they all use the English alphabet?
They.
Oh, that's a great question. When they're spelling stuff out.
I think probably. I don't know. I don't know that question. But it's the way they frame how it's like we just say the words, you know.
Oh, how their word structure is different. Their sentence structure.
Like instead of saying, "Hey, let's go to the school."
Mm-hmm.
School, let's go.
Ah.
So it's kind of like backwards, and then it.
Yeah.
So
like
it's
Spanish.
just kind of a. I'm like, man, I'm struggling with English. I'm trying to figure this out with ASL, but
Did the other kids pick up far quicker than you and Allison?
Yeah, and we have to. I mean, Trevor, but Trevor, he's in public school, and he was able to get a full-time interpreter. So literally, the school system basically hired this gal who, from 8 o'clock in the morning till 3:30. I mean, she's literally
With him,
and wherever he's at, she can see him or he can see her. And so, like in this conversation, if he was here and I'm talking, she would, and I'm Trevor, like she would be behind you signing what you're saying. So it's just so cool. So like in class, he's getting all that, and she's up in front of the class doing thing. Only time is during recess or lunch. She doesn't sign.
do those things. Yeah,
he's on his own stuff, but he has auditory neuropathy, and so he has cochlear implants. Got a couple of those. So now he's able to receive sound. Fact, we just got the word. So when he went in for surgery, back when he's 8 or 9 now, he just hit his 5 years. So back then he had 18% word recognition. So meaning if you say a word, only 18% he can hear that word and understand what the heck that word means, right? 18%, that's all he had at 5 years old. And you should have 100%, right? Every year it gets a little bit better, but we just got back from Iowa City, and his word recognition now with both, we call them his ears, but both cochlear implants, both there is 86% for words.
Oh my gosh.
86%, and his sentence structure recognition, 94%.
That's amazing.
So if you put the words together, then you're able to I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if it's just one word, it's a lot harder. Just like if you're trying to
because he can put the sentence and figure out what
it is,
what the context is.
Yeah, just kind of like if I see someone signing, I can understand it. But for me to sign what they're doing, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like that's way harder. But I could pick up stuff, and that's kind of how he does with the English, with English. And so, but yeah, dude, we just
that's amazing.
We got that, and
I was guessing. I was saying in my head, I was like, I bet he's at like 50%.
Yeah,
that would be a huge climb.
Huge.
But that's
phenomenal. Last year was like 70.
Yeah.
So he's jumped and we thought 50, 60% because he got implanted when he was 4, and that's not good because your first 4 years
are really impactful,
are really important for the to pick up on hearing and stuff. So that's when you learn how to hear. And so, yeah, dude, 94% and 86.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my wife called and she was all so stoked
hype about that.
And Trevor's so if you talk to him, he's just like normal 9-year-old kid, like he can.
But Trevor's 9.
Yeah. So you can have a
I didn't think
conversation.
he was that
with
much
him.
older than Thaddeus, but
yeah.
Wow.
So now it's kind of like, we're still trying to do more sign, but sometimes you just get lazy and don't do it because it's easier just to talk. Because he can.
And now he
can.
Yeah.
Now he's able to.
Easier for everyone.
So, but yeah, so that's
That's awesome.
And actually, American Sign Language, it's number 3, but in high schools and stuff, mostly, if you have French or German, then you can get credit, right, to go into college. And American Sign Language, you can't now. That's not part of it. And so hopefully, I mean, I know, most of the schools in town don't allow that to be part of the, I guess,
curriculum.
Yeah. So now they're going to try to change it, which I think it's
they should.
super important. Yeah.
Especially
what were the ages you said that you teach in school?
I do K through college.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which do you have the best responses from? What
Which
age
do you
Well,
like to teach the
personally,
best?
I like middle school the best.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a
they can be
stinky. It's a stinky part of
troublemakers.
life.
I know. I feel like most people don't like the middle schoolers, but they're at this age where they're like not yet too cool for school, like the
Yeah.
high schoolers are, and they're
Yeah.
still like interested in learning
Uh-huh.
and like can have a coherent conversation with you about what you're teaching them,
Okay.
which was what I really like. I don't really like teaching the little kids because they ask you the same question 17 times, and I'm like, I just answered that.
Yeah.
But the middle school students, it's like very dynamic, and I feel like they can actually grasp the things that I'm teaching them, and they're really excited about it.
And so when you normally go to a school and you're like trying to get volunteers, how many kids normally will come out for that event to help clean up trash or whatever the situation is?
Well, for the Sustainable Coastlines, that's an organization that I volunteered with for like 8 years, and they host some of the largest beach cleanups probably in the nation.
Really?
Like thousands of people will come out, and a pretty significant amount of the students, I don't know like what percentage, but we generally get like a really good response from the students that we do outreach to.
How long
and
is it?
education.
How long is it per day? If the thousands of people are coming out,
How long is the event?
How long are you on the beach? Is it multiple days or?
So usually it's just like a 1-day event. We'll host it for like a morning, like 9 to 12 or 9 to 1. So we'll do like an opening ceremony, and then they'll probably spend like 1 to 2 hours on the beach cleaning, and then we have lunch and games, and it's like a whole festival.
That
it's really
is
sick.
really cool.
Yeah, but for my current job, like who I'm employed for, we do invasive algae removal is like our main volunteer project, and then we also do coral restoration.
Okay, yeah.
And for the invasive algae removal, we have school groups like every week. So
that's
we
so
host
cool.
like over thousands and thousands of students every year.
What's the most amount of trash you've gotten, like weight wise? I'm sure they've had to have weighed it or something to figure out how much you got.
Do you guys
measure or something
for
like
the
that?
plastic,
To
for
like
beach
plastic,
cleanups, or
or
the algae?
beach cleanups,
Beach
both
cleanups?
actually. Sure.
Like the most amount in one cleanup?
Yeah, in one cleanup.
That's a great question. For the algae, typically we'll do like 2,000 to 3,000 pounds.
1,000
Yeah.
pounds.
It's a lot. There's so much of it. It's insane. And people get really stoked to pick it out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And then for the plastic that we pick up, I think it really depends on where you're cleaning, because Hawaii is in the middle of the ocean, and different types of trash accumulate on different parts of the island because of just how it's situated.
Tourists or whatever the case.
Yeah, like some of it is more land-based, coming from people that live on the land and like homeless people. And then a lot of it comes from out in the ocean that just gets caught on our shoreline because of how the ocean currents and the wind currents move. So that really determines the amount and the weight of the debris that we get. And from my experience working with Sustainable Coastlines Hawaii, I feel like we generally get the largest amount and weight from the cleanups that we do on the west side, which is generally more land-based debris. And there's a very large homeless population there. And a lot of the things that we find are like car parts. Yeah, there was one cleanup we did. We found like 18 tires and like a bumper, and there was like a toilet seat and a fire hydrant.
Do they throw them on the beach or do they throw them in the ocean?
No, they just like drive it in the forest or like on the side of the road, and it breaks down, and then we go out and we try to clean it up. And there's a lot of homeless encampments on the west side too, and the people that don't really have anywhere to put their trash.
Right, exactly.
Because there's a lot of people living in a space where they only have like city and county trash cans on the beach, which are not meant to support a whole population of people living in that space.
Yeah.
Like one trash can for 70 people that are living in a confined area.
Jeez.
I forgot your question.
Let's speak to that real quick. So
Okay.
you're passionate about this environment and the humans being idiots and ruining,
I try to make them less idiotic, educating them.
Ball of mud that we so enjoy.
Yeah.
So from your perspective and your thoughts, so what do you think this human species, like what can we do? What do you think is the number 1, 2, or
That's
3
a
things
great question.
that we can do
Even in the Midwest, you know, just
I mean, just what do you?
Yeah.
Where's that? I guess
educate
rule.
us.
Yeah. What's the best thing we can do from a small contribution to that you think would make a huge difference if we did this?
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
That is a great question.
My general answer to that is to educate yourself, because education is the most powerful tool that any of us have. And the more that we learn about these issues that are happening, and the more that we learn about solutions and the things that we can do to mitigate these issues, that's where the real change comes from. It's the individual change that bleeds into the collective change that will really have a mass positive impact on the environment. But also, I feel like this is kind of a two-part question, because I think it also depends on the problem that you're focusing on. So plastic pollution is one thing. Invasive species is another thing. Climate change is another thing. So I think all of those things have different solutions that might be a better option pertaining to the specific problem.
Which one do you, out of those three, which one do you think you care about, so we can get some actual
I care about all of
education
them.
for the viewers? Like, wait, let's you stop using plastic bags. We need some kind of concrete.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, definitely minimizing plastic use.
So this
Isn't that paper, dude?
Well,
is that bad or
you know, you think it's paper, but it's got a plastic lining on the inside. So
She's been glaring
The world
at me
is
all
tricky.
day.
I know, dude.
She's like, "Arr."
and look at this lid.
Oh.
Petroleum based. Part of the problem.
Strike two.
So how do you? It's a lot more common in like places like Seattle or California or Hawaii that people know that. How have you seen that have an effect in those smaller communities versus like when you make it out to the Midwest? And like we went to Hy-Vee, you know, and they were giving out grocery bags, and I started laughing because like
It makes me so upset.
it makes her so. And it's not that I was, you know, when I lived in Seattle, we did the reusable bags and everything. So like I've been accustomed, but then when you come back to this, it's just so much different.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think for those parts of the world, like the West Coast and Hawaii especially, these are things that people are really conscientious about, and like we have exposure to the information and the things that are going on. I think it's just a different culture and like part of the lifestyle. And especially in Hawaii, because like you're surrounded by so much natural beauty, and it's such a small island, and you have, at least on Oahu, there's 1 million people that live
Jeez.
on Oahu. Very small island. And that doesn't even include like all the tourists that come every day and every year.
That was just 1 million population.
So it's like really
locals.
easy to see the impacts that having humans in a confined space has on the environment. You can see the pollution, and like sea turtles are getting fishing hooks stuck in their mouths, and the monk seals are entangled in fishing nets and fishing line, and there's plastic washing up on the beaches with every wave. So it's impossible to turn a blind eye to it because it's literally right in front of you.
Yeah.
And for the Midwest, I think like different culture, different lifestyle, and also just where you are in the world. Like you're not surrounded by ocean. You don't see where all your trash goes.
Yeah.
And you're just like so much more removed from the problem. Even though it's still around you, I feel like it's just harder to notice, especially if it's not something that like people are talking about or teaching you about.
It does seem like when you see pollution in like water, right? You know, you see stuff washed up. I mean, you know, if I ever went to like a lake or anything, you do look at like, come on, man, like get that. You know, you feel bad for the fish. You feel bad for, but yet you could take that same sack or bag or whatever, and it might be in the ditch. And you don't
you don't look at it the same.
Yeah, you don't almost look at it the same way.
Yeah.
But the water, for some reason, the beauty of water and just, oh my gosh, get that out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just bothers.
That's
I don't
true.
know, it bothers me more, I guess.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people don't realize living in landlocked states is that everything that you do in this space will have an impact on all of the water bodies in the ocean. Because all your rivers and your streams, they eventually lead down to the ocean. So what you're doing here,
it works its way out. You know, and they start here and more confined, but eventually it like continues to get pushed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's really crazy is like the Mississippi River is one of the most polluted water bodies in the world.
The
and
Mississippi
the
River.
Mississippi River. Yeah. There's like so much pollution and oil and yeah, all kinds of things that get into that water, especially because these states, farming is like one of the main parts of the economy, right? Like you guys farm and grow
Agriculture
food,
is huge
agriculture.
here.
And
Yeah.
what do people in that industry use to grow their crops?
Water.
Well, they use water, but they also use like fertilizer and
pesticides and
and
chemicals.
synthetic pesticides. So all these chemicals they use on the land, and then they get washed into the water when it rains, and all that water goes into the rivers, and then that gets flushed into the ocean. And the Mississippi River is like a drainage system for everything that's happening in the Midwest. It just gets flushed down into the Gulf, down by like Florida, Texas, those states. And there's what we call dead zones. Like that whole space in the ocean is just dead. It's super toxic. It has killed everything because of all the pollutants. It's like putting all the excess nutrients in the water. There's no oxygen, so nothing can survive. And it's just like this desolate, dead, toxic environment that is super poisonous. But if we were more responsible with those choices and the products that we use. Yeah. So actually going back to your question earlier, what are some things that we can do? Education is a big one. And also like being a responsible consumer is really important. So every single purchase that you make is a vote for if you're helping the environment or if you're not.
I've never heard of it. I never heard it phrased that way.
Yeah.
Well, and because we as consumers have that choice, right?
Yeah. We buy off convenience.
Different companies,
especially in the Midwest. We buy off convenience.
Yeah, I mean that's American culture, which is part of the problem.
And it's more expensive to be like aware in what's going on.
You know, it's not really the cost of our future.
Well, it ain't my future.
It's your son's future.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and that's what we have to think about.
Yeah,
it's not just us. We got to think beyond ourselves.
Yeah, Ethan.
Well, it was just a joke. I mean, I do some things that are, good for the environment.
And also, if you think about it, like if you were to buy one of these drinks in this cup every single day, like you literally could bring your thermos and like make your coffee at home, and that would save you money, and it would save the environment because you're not buying a one-time single-use cup every time that you go get coffee.
What are some of the other things that you've seen that are like basic things like that? The plastic bags, reusable or non-reusable plastic that people drink out of. What's like another big one that you've encountered, whether that's in the Midwest or
one of the big things that we find at beach cleanups are plastic toothbrushes. It's like insane how many get into the ocean and
what
end up on our beaches.
What do you use now? A bamboo stick?
Yeah, you haven't seen mine in the bathroom? Yeah, and my toothbrush holder is also made out of bamboo. Sustainable. You know, if you throw it away, it's like biodegradable and compostable. Because if you think, I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about plastic and like where it's sourced from and what it's made out of, but it's an oil-based product, so it's made from petroleum. And petroleum is highly carcinogenic, which means it's cancer-causing. It has all these chemicals and all these additives that are put into it to make it what it is and to make it durable and flexible and versatile. And that's why it's so convenient, but that's also why it's so bad. Mm-hmm. And so literally anytime you touch something that is plastic, you're absorbing some of those chemicals, but it's worsened when those products are exposed to sunlight or heat. So for example, if you have a plastic Tupperware and you put it in the microwave and it's exposed to heat, or if you have a plastic water bottle and you leave it out in the sun for a day, it increases the amount of toxins that are released into whatever it is. Like, yeah. So like your food, if you're microwaving your food in a plastic Tupperware, or like your water, you're drinking toxic water if you're drinking it out of a water bottle, and especially if it's been in the sun.
Literally, Allison and I were just talking about this. Like,
I didn't know
on
that.
Sunday, like
that's why
3 days ago, and saying that we need to get rid of all of our plastic and get glass, like glass
in the house.
In the house,
like plastic cups?
In our house, because we have Yeah, we
Yeah.
have.
Hey, does that apply to the dishwasher too? Like when you put plastic cups in
Yeah,
the
you
dishwasher?
should definitely not put that in the dishwasher. That's
What about
okay,
the
and
ones
even
that
if it
say
says-
dishwasher
I knew you were
safe?
gonna ask that. I fucking knew it.
I was thinking.
Yeah,
It.
I mean, like you can put it in the dishwasher because it's not gonna melt and destroy it,
That's
but
but
what
it's
that
but
means.
it's still affecting
yeah.
you.
And like the people that are making these products are not going to tell you that. They want you to buy their product.
Yeah.
And like as long as it still works after you put it in the dishwasher, like they
That's
can say whatever they want.
So
Yeah.
we need to get rid of all of our plastic
Yeah.
in our house.
He's on the same page.
And anything that goes in the dishwasher needs to be glass.
Yeah.
For, like,
I would
glass,
recommend
like-
not putting plastic in the dishwasher.
Or the microwave.
Yeah.
Or the microwave. Or
Or
use
the
a
microwave.
microwave. Probably shouldn't use the microwave.
Yeah, I've
Stove would be
heard
better.
things about
Microwave's
the
not
microwave
good.
as well.
That's so crazy. We
Jeez.
literally just was talking about this.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
know that? I mean, you probably know, but I've seen on YouTube that you can YouTube people having their faucet in their house, whatever, and lighting it on fire, and it
What?
goes up in flames.
On the-
What?
Oh yeah,
What?
Is there oil?
Let's say-
Is there water?
I don't know. They said because they're talking the whole premise of the videos were saying how much water is not. It's considered safe
Mhm.
to drink by who is it?
EPA.
It's considered safe by the EPA rules, but these same places that are safe, you can literally, there's videos of
Yeah.
them putting a freaking lighter underneath a faucet, and it goes.
I believe it. That's the
it-
world
it-
that we live
it
in.
flames up.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember
Yeah.
the incident
YouTube it. It's wild.
in Flint, Michigan. Like
That's
Yep.
what literally I was
Several
thinking
years
about. I was
ago,
like, here we
yeah.
are, and everyone's talking
like
about
they all
Flint,
thought
and
their water was safe, and then they saw the color of it, and they're like, "This shit is not safe to drink. You should not be drinking it."
Is that issue been
Oh,
resolved?
No.
He's from Michigan,
Yeah, he would know.
kind of.
Yeah.
They just switched the water source.
Just named
Yeah.
it differently.
I think they said it'll probably take about a decade for it to actually like fully clear up.
Yeah. I
Wow.
believe that. We're having a similar problem in Hawaii right now. The military has these like oil tanks, and they started leaking into our water supply that gives water to like half of the island. And before the military came clean about it, people were getting sick because of oil in their drinking water. People's animals were getting sick. They were like vomiting and losing their hair, and they were dying. And so now there's this whole lawsuit, and the military is like still trying to deny that what
It
they
was
did was
them,
wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
I
they knew
feel-
it was
I feel-
leaking for like, I don't know, over 10 years and never said a thing. And they're like slowly killing people.
Does I mean, this is kind of related, but not spot on. But does a Brita help when, like, with the What? No,
Well-
Figure this out, right?
well, because you
I'm
know,
with you,
like,
man.
I mean, the Brita,
Brita's-
I use a Brita. And
Oh, you
it
do? Okay.
helps to remove some of the chemicals that are like naturally, or not naturally occurring. They add a lot of the chemicals to the water, like chlorine. So it helps to remove some of those things. I don't think it does it like 100%.
yeah.
But there's also microplastic in our water, and I don't think that Britas help remove that. And I think that's just something that we, at this stage in human existence, we have to adapt to and live with, because there's no way that we're going to get it's like in the air that we breathe, it's in the
Yeah.
water that we drink, and the particles are so small that you can't even see them
Or taste them.
or
when you
taste
drink,
them. Yeah.
And what are we referring to? What are you talking about?
Microplastics.
Microplastics.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
So-
actually saw
so
a
the-
TikTok about this.
So you can't have there's no water filtration
not that
system
I'm
out
aware
there
of.
that can remove that.
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah. And the thing with plastic too is it's a product because of what it's made out of. It doesn't biodegrade, so it doesn't break down naturally in the environment. It photodegrades. So with heat exposure, it breaks up into these smaller and smaller pieces, and they never fully go away. So every single piece of plastic that has ever been created on this planet
Will never-
still exists
Still-
in some
that's
way, shape, or form.
Will never go away.
It's in our bodies. It's in the atmosphere. It's in the ground. It's in the soil that we grow our food in.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, at this point, we're like, there's no way to get around it, but we have opportunity to make choices to make it less of a problem.
Well, we're kind of getting close to our time. We got a few more topics we can run over. But one thing that popped in my head, you've been talking about education. Is there like a specific YouTube video that pops up? Tyler can throw like a little link to it or something like that, or something that comes to your mind when it's like, if more Americans watch this specific video, they have more awareness on just little tweaks they can make to help put some of these causes in effect. Is there something that's, I know I put
Or is there something you believe in that we can help fund to...
Or a good
Your
cause, yeah. Maybe
fund my nonprofit.
Fund what?
My nonprofit.
That's what you were.
I work for a
the
nonprofit.
education outreach coordinator is a nonprofit.
Yeah, we get all our money through grants and
get
donors.
Granted, it pays her salary,
Yeah.
so
help me keep my job. I can't think of a specific video, but I feel like just from people watching this podcast, they'll probably learn a lot. And they can
we have
do
14
their own...
subscribers right
14.
now. So we're really boom.
Thank you to our 14 subscribers. Thanks for watching. Share with your family
What-
and
what-
friends.
We just haven't told
Are
a
you
lot of
subscribed?
people.
No.
Well,
15,
But
man.
I
Why
will
not?
after today.
It's
Yeah.
a
what is it?
requirement. If you're going to be on this podcast,
We
you've
should
got
have.
to
We should have more than that now. This is like our 14th or 15th episode.
Right, we should at least
You get one subscriber an episode.
We're not growing at the pace we need to.
Yeah, right.
We
Yeah,
need-
we're gonna have to
Guys.
require that to when they join. Like, you got to sign. If you
We
don't
only have
YouTube.
like 15, so you're 6.
What is, you said a couple nonprofits or some companies up to this point. Have you already said the company that you worked for?
No, so I work for a nonprofit organization called Malama Mauna Lua. And
What-
Malama is
one more
they're actually
time.
both
Spell
Hawaiian
that.
words. Malama Mauna Lua. So Malama in Hawaiian means to take care of, and Mauna Lua is the region that we work in, that we work to restore. And it's located on the southeast side of Oahu. It's like an 8-mile stretch of coastline that consists of 10 different watersheds, and we work to protect and restore that whole area. And Mauna Lua is, if you break it up into 2 words, so Mauna in Hawaiian means mountain, Lua means 2, and it's named after the 2 mountains, Koko Head and Koko Crater, that you can see from anywhere in the region. So we
Well,
take
that's
care of
cool.
Mauna Lua. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
It's a really special place and really special organization. And it's exactly what I want to be doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Another thing we like to ask our guests is like, a couple favorite books they have, or a quote that's really resonated with you throughout your life. Probably should have given you a heads up again. I need to do better
Okay.
at this post podcast, but I hate to
Yeah.
put you on the spot.
Or departing words
Yeah.
to the viewers of Quit Being Stupid and
Mhm.
quit.
So for books, I actually haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited to read it. It's called Life on the Rocks. This book is like specifically about coral restoration, because the climate is changing and the oceans are warming. We're losing a lot of our corals from coral bleaching. So it talks
From
about
coral bleaching or
coral-
beaching?
Bleaching. Yeah.
Bleaching.
So some corals turn white because the plant cells that live within them get stressed out from the warm ocean conditions, and they leave the coral, just leaving it with a bare white skeleton. So it's a phenomenon that we call coral bleaching. If you know about the Great Barrier Reef, you probably maybe have heard of it.
I know
We've
what
lost
it
like
is.
50% of our corals from coral bleaching just in the Great Barrier Reef alone, but it's happening all across the world. But the book talks a lot about that, and there's a lot of projects that scientists are doing, including with my organization. We're doing this in Hawaii for the first time in history. We're trying to find corals that are thermally resilient so they can withstand warmer water temperatures. And we're trying to pick those corals and
move
propagate
them.
them. So we
Propagate, like
Yeah.
duplicate?
yeah,
Or
kind of. So
you breed them? I don't know if that's a dumb question. Or how do you make more?
Essentially, it's kind of like if you have a plant and you like pull
Replant it.
a piece
pull
of the
of
plant
it
off,
and-
and then you put it in water or in a pot, then that one will grow. It's the same with
Oh, that's-
corals.
Okay, cool.
So we're trying to restore the reefs with those specific corals, because we know that climate change is happening and the oceans are going to warm. Even if we do everything in our power right now to try to stop it, it's still going to be a thing. So by doing these kinds of projects, we can still have healthy reefs that can withstand the warmer water temperatures and still support our ocean ecosystems and all the resources that we rely on from the ocean. And this book talks a lot about that kind of research, and also
So
the
cool.
relationship
So
between
cool.
like mental health, because the author of the book, her daughter has severe OCD, and yeah, it's just like a really interesting dynamic of talking about how like the health of the oceans is in jeopardy, and then also like mental health in humans and how those things kind of relate.
Connected or
Yeah. And yeah, so I haven't read it, but I went to the book opening, and she
Seems
was a really great
amazing.
speaker, and
Yeah.
I was like, I need to buy this book right now. But otherwise, Braiding Sweetgrass is a really great book. It's like very poetic and really inspired by nature. And the lady who wrote it, she is a scientist, but she's a Native American. So she speaks from the lens of like indigenous wisdom in relation to scientific knowledge from the Western world, and kind of like melding those two together, which for me resonates because Hawaii is kind of that way. Like the Hawaiian way of living and way of thinking is very scientific, but in a different way than like Western culture is. And I live there, and I also consider myself a scientist. So
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
I gotta say, of all of our guests, I've been able to keep up for the whole. This is the first time where she's just using vocab. Like, is this English? Or are we still?
Yeah, I know.
And then as for a quote, there's one by Jane Goodall. I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes.
Take your time. We're not live or anything. It's okay.
Yeah. We're not on deadline here.
I just was thinking about it earlier. Now I can't remember.
You got one that pops up? Yeah, I haven't asked you for one in a while. Let her get her bearings under her.
Not really a quote.
I just remembered.
Okay.
Sorry, can you go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Jane Goodall said, everything that you do has an impact on the world around you. And you have to decide what kind of impact you want to make. And that kind of speaks to what I was sharing earlier about
That's
like
a
how
mic drop, yeah.
our individual choices affect the environment, they affect the people, all the animals.
Say it one more time. We'll do a micro clip of that.
Say it one more time?
Yeah, say it one more time.
Okay. Well, now I have to remember it again. Everything that you do has an impact on the world around you, and you have to decide what kind of impact you want to make.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you
Thanks for having
flying
me.
halfway across
Yeah,
the world.
you know,
Yep.
I really just came here to educate
The
fellow,
Midwest.
The fellow
Yeah.
14 subscribers. 15
in
by the end of
Midwest,
this. But
'cause I don't think they get exposure to this kind of stuff. So it's
no,
good.
not with our
This is great.
podcast.
Yeah,
So
this is
thank
wonderful.
you. Seriously,
You're welcome.
Laura, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I still want to hear your quote if you have
Oh,
it ready.
yeah.
Well, this was kind of like, do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's slick.
But here's
Slick.
one I've been talking about in 2023. It's just like do better.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
better, try harder.
I'm
Yeah.
so like people right now have been they've been frustrating. I think there's just so many people that with everything going on, we just allow ourselves to have excuses, or we allow ourselves to
yeah.
just not do better
Mhm.
for each other,
Mhm.
and we just have this mindset of just, like
We're lazy.
we don't
like
care.
convenience.
Good enough. It's good enough.
Yeah, it's
that
just-
works. Yeah.
It's just like, don't cut corners. Like,
Yeah,
man, just do better, do the right
I
thing.
like that. I'm gonna
be
get
a
a
good
bumper sticker
person.
on my car that says "Do better."
I just get so mad, like something goes down, I'm like, oh, do better. Just like, do better, people, So that's my 2023.
Good stuff. Well, on that note, thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in next time for the next episode. Have a good one.
Our coral reefs are disappearing. Up to half of the world's coral reefs have already been lost or severely damaged, and the negative development continues. Scientists predict that all corals will be threatened by 2050 and that 75% will face high to critical threat levels. Coral provides $3.4 billion in annual revenue to coastal cities, coastal protection, and fisheries, and indirectly supports 1 billion people. The fight for coral restoration is largely funded by individual donors, so it would mean the world to us at the YoungPro family if you could find it in your heart to make a donation at the link below. Any dollar amount helps, and we thank you greatly.